Rob's like, I don't know video games. I have no idea what this Mass Effect is.
Do you still have to use a game genie to get to unlock your unlimited health? I'm very confused. I'm currently stuck on Super Contra 2. Can anybody help me?
You have to blow the
Super
cartridge,
C.
Rob. You got to blow the cartridge first a few times, and that's how it works. But welcome everyone to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. We are here, unfortunately, to talk about the demise of a show that we have all enjoyed. Who knows if we enjoyed this episode, but we're here to talk about what we enjoyed so far. So we're here to finish off our review on Falcon and the Winter Soldier without any spoilers. We're going to briefly do our game as always, and then we're going to go to full spoilers. But first and foremost, of course, I'm your host, Stupé. I'm here, as always, with the hosts as the owners and proprietors of Heroes World. That's John and Andre. Say hello to the world.
Howdy, folks.
Thumbs up, soldiers.
Oh, is that a catchphrase that I'm not aware of?
It's from the video
Don't
game,
you
right?
remember Marvel versus Capcom and all those great games with Captain America?
Again, without a
on
game
now.
genie, Rob and me are out of the loop. So I think he had the one for Sega and I had the one for Nintendo. So we have to figure that out. Rob.
Yes.
Say hello to the world, Mr. Rob Cadet.
Hello, world, while I get my power glove on.
Oh, wow.
Do you know the line from the movie?
The Wizard?
Yeah, do you know the line?
No, I can't
When
remember.
when it's like, it's so good, it's bad.
Do you know, I actually believe that The Wizard is dropping on, I want to say Disney Plus Star in May. So for those who haven't seen the gloriousness of The
That
Wizard.
terrible movie.
A movie. It's an hour advertisement for Super Mario Brothers. I was
Great.
dumb. I was like, oh, yeah, this is an ad. This is a very, very purposeful ad for Super Mario Brothers 3. I'm like, this is great. My friend actually went to that dinosaur, which is now been usurped, but I won't go into detail. For those who want to know about that big scene where the brother yells dinosaur or whatnot, that dinosaur encampment still exists. And it is very weird now. So I'll leave it like that.
Hey, do you know what I think we should do? When this whole thing lifts up, I think the four of us should drive out east of the GTA to the Giant Apple and then just recreate the scenes from that movie with the giant dinosaur in the Giant Apple. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
No.
No,
we
can
should.
we do it? Can we pretend it's a
wouldn't.
Giant Apple then, and we'll do it that way. You guys have no imagination. Come on, Rob. I approve of that. That's a great one.
Thanks, pal.
Plus, you get some.
We can do it on a playground outside.
You get some apple fries. You can get some apple cider. You can get an apple pie. You don't understand. The Big Apple's a good place. I picked up some food there, like 8 months ago. It was a good time. Before quarantine, or in between. Anyways, whatever.
In between quarantines.
This story's got a lot of holes in it, Stu.
No,
I don't know if I'm trusting you now.
No. It was. We were allowed social distancing, and we drove to the Big Apple as a road trip for like, we should go grab some supplies, and we drove out and bought some pies and delivered to our families. It was good times when you could still, when the numbers were low. I think when it was like 80 per day.
The good old
back
old
then
days.
when it was respectable and you could drive out and wouldn't be yelled at. So
Right.
It was still in Ontario. It was still a four hour drive. So it was a long one. Anyways, for those in Ontario, support the Big Apple. There's a mini putt thing there too. It's good times. And they have the original Mr. Peanut there as well. So it's good times. Fun fact. All right, here we go.
That's
We're
the
gonna go.
podcast, everybody. We'll see you later.
That's our travel
That's our show.
podcast about Collingwood or whatever. Or no, where's the Big Apple? Oh gosh, I forget. Anyways, John, give us the unhelpful summary of Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, please, without any positive or negative.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how unhelpful? Should it just be
Super
stuff
unhelpful.
happens?
Super unhelpful.
Well, anyways, okay. So the GRC meeting is under siege, and the Flag Smashers are there with some enlisted help to make their statement. So Sam Wilson gets some new threads, and he takes them for a test spin. Will he be there in time or not? We'll see. Will Bucky finally do the work and make amends for his past sins? Will John Walker reclaim the shield and redeem himself, possibly? All this and more in the final episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That's more of a tease, but I'll let that one slide.
You know what?
You can't
I'm gonna
really
give
delve
it to...
into the spoilers.
There you go.
That's all right. All right. Okay, we're good. We're gonna go. I stand corrected. Colburn, not Collingwood. So Colburn is where the Big Apple is.
Oh, Colburn, yeah, they used to
Colburn.
have a beach back in the day.
Yeah.
Still do. It's still there.
Before the pandemic. Who knows? We've never seen it. Does it exist if you don't see it?
I think it does.
In all fairness, I haven't seen your legs since the pandemic started. So do your legs still exist? All I see is this up. So...
It'd be a very different podcast. We're all upside down or something.
Well. That's a great time for now. We can talk about our OnlyFans account. Both John and Rob have OnlyFans you can subscribe to. And if you like, you can find out what is below the screen. There we go. So we're going to go talk full about the episode. So, John, thank you so much for that unhelpful summary. Rob, I know she's chomping at the bit, but John always goes first. John, go for it. Tell us your thoughts, spoilers, and please have a gimmick ready because every time you say you're going to do it,
I have a mild gimmick. I only got to watch the episode once, so there's a lot to unpack in it and a lot of like kind of more in-depth stuff. So I'm going to leave all that heavy stuff to the other guys. So
it's like every group project, John. You're giving the work to everyone else. I see how it is.
Take the hard stuff. I'm going to take the fluffy, easy stuff. So I put together a top five. Yeah, another chapter in Rob's book. Top five countdown. So number 5 is the Black Falcon joke returns. They set this up I don't know how many episodes ago, and then he's like, "Oh, it's the Black Falcon." It was so funny. And I can't believe they they set it up so early, and then it just came back. It was really funny. Number 4, John Walker's heroic turn, and the fact that I loved his new suit. So I'm going to tie 2 together because there's so much to cover in this episode. And then let's keep going because I know these other guys are going to have lots to talk about. 3, Falcon's costume reveal. Oh, man, when he drops through that window and just kind of like stands up and gets to show off the costume and all the white and all that kind of stuff. It was really cool. And then he calls himself Captain. He's like, I'm Captain America kind of thing. Like, damn, like, and these moments continue throughout the episode, which I really love. Number 2, Falcon's simultaneous helicopter takedown. I thought that was a really cool scene. He kind of worked everything out with the person on the helicopter, and then in that scene they have the moment where he lands on the bridge, which is like this other defining superhero moment. Something always has to happen on a bridge. I feel like that's like your superhero rite of passage. So he kind of does like that shield block. Helicopter bounces off the Falcon wings and shield, and he just kind of stands up. Everyone cheers, and he just takes off because he's still got the day to save. So that was awesome. So what was that? Number 2. All right. So 1.5. The Falcon speech to Isaiah. I'm not going to let anyone tell me I can't fight for it. Like, man, like there was a bunch of speeches to pick from this, and I'll throw this one here. That like, you know, I just like this. Some people say it was rushed, but I like the moments they got with Isaiah and Sam Wilson. So 1.4 Isaiah Memorial. I think you guys see where I'm going with this. It's just gonna keep going. So I'll wrap it up because there's too much to talk about. Return of Red Wing.
No, take your time, John. Like you barely talk enough. So it's you're not the Mecca Machines guy. You don't have to fast. Another reference that no one under the age of 30 will understand. I want to hear these guys unpack
the more serious stuff. So the Return of Red Wing, that was awesome. He just kind of pops out, helps save the day. 1.2 the Return Home. I love a montage at the end where they're going to their hometown and having. I love a happy ending. I don't like those shows that kind of like decide to go, all right, yeah, we made a statement. This is your sad ending. Deal with it. So I like that. I like the 1.1 the triple team, Walker, Sam, and Bucky chasing down Kylie at the end, and they're kind of all together. I was like, oh, cool. Now we got like a triple team. And then number 1 has got to be the do better speech. Like I know some people have criticized it online. I don't know why they don't want the world to be a better place, but the delivery of this, the context of the speech, and I've only listened to it once, so I haven't had time to unpack it. But I love the idea that he got to. This is the culmination of this character. This is everything he stands for, what he's all about. This is things that I think people now, and especially if kids are watching this, need to hear. That it's the striving to do better. Maybe you can't make that change, but you can try to. You can aim to change the world, all that kind of stuff. So that was my silly top 10 list technically, and I could have filled it with more. So
John
that's all. Yeah.
didn't first off did agree in math because I don't think that was
Yeah.
10, and he dropped a 1.5 there as well. So we're gonna let
Yeah,
that one
yeah.
slide, whatever that is. Yeah, all right. Any other final thoughts in the appendix of are you gonna do the additional bonus or are you done?
Addendums.
Yeah, I could go on. I really
You
enjoyed
should
this
go on
episode.
because you should go on. This is your last
Okay,
chance
so
to talk about this show.
so I really enjoyed this episode. I know there's a lot of criticisms online about it and things like that. I think sometimes people are kind of starting to throw things in. So we had this like effect with WandaVision where people are starting to throw in, oh, Mephisto, all this kind of stuff. So I think maybe because nothing's going on, maybe because they drop all these Easter eggs, maybe people are just trying to fuel too much and are expecting too many things to happen to conclude these. Like this is one of the strongest endings I feel that we've seen in a lot of these things. Some of the movies even like even Winter Soldier, we all unanimously love Winter Soldier, but the ending devolves into stick this USB key into this thing and it ends this thing we're fighting. So I don't know what people...
3 chips, not a USB. 3 chips.
It was essentially a USB key into a terminal of some kind, and you're just kind of like, okay, you know what? Cool, you got to get all this big action happening and stuff like that. So they had a lot to deal with, and you can't expect them to just wrap like and the power. I guess the power broker is what's going to come up. I don't know if you guys are going to talk about it or not, but I really didn't invest anything into this character. I was like, oh, it's the bad guy, sure, whatever. I didn't start like looking up who the power broker was and start throwing all these kind of crazy theories and stuff like that. So the reveal in the episode, I was like, oh yeah, it's fine, whatever. Keep it moving. I wanted to see the other stuff. I wanted to see my the Bucky and Sam Wilson kind of storyline come to a conclusion. And I feel like they did. And even that little tease in I guess the end credits where the show's name, it flips to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm down. So they weren't lying when they said that it was only going to be one season of, I guess, Falcon and Winter Soldier. They kind of pulled a little switcheroo and did like that. I don't know why they did the Sharon Carter mask because no one was looking for her there, but I guess they wanted to show off some Disney money.
Yeah, they had some budget left over. So
yeah, they're like, yeah, let's just give her the Ethan Hunt Black Widow mask thing for 2 seconds.
Well, it exists in the universe. Why not? It's also the same. Like, how did she get in the country? Well, like when you did that, like, oh, okay, yeah, you can get in the country. Fine, sure, whatever. It's one of those things, John, where do you think that the fandom, because Marvel now is such at a high level that people expect so much.
Like, I can't
blame John.
Yeah.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Let me finish. Is this a Tiger Mom syndrome where we expect 90% and 99% above and anything below is unacceptable? Is this what we're treating Marvel as right now, where they can't do any? If you don't get 100% on your math exam, you are not allowed to play Super Nintendo? Is that what the situation is?
I feel like, the expectation is definitely there, and maybe because this is all we're getting during the lockdown, they're only doing one of these major shows at a time. They've got other like kind of like like Mighty Ducks and John Stamos's Big Shot show or whatever, but this is the main thing that they're doing. So I think they're just so they are kind of calling it on themselves by doing that, by creating that this is the biggest thing that they're doing. So I guess it goes both ways. I enjoyed it. So unfortunate for some people, I guess they didn't enjoy it. Everyone's got their own opinion. So I'm fine with that. IGN.
But is it people are putting the high expectations? Not Marvel saying it's I never heard, or Marvel's like,
no, but I think they're inviting it by creating such an event, because I think we're going to talk about another movie after this podcast. I think it's the way they presented it. So they are kind of inviting this kind of weight to be put on it, I guess, that will, I guess, disappoint some people. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm very happy.
So I don't know. I think I have to disagree with you, John. And I'm going to get Andre's and Rob's point. I feel like, especially Kevin Feige, is at the point where he lets everyone just kind of run around with rumors and ideas. And will never say, and Marvel never comments on anything except for every once in a while when someone's like, Chris Evans is coming back.
Let me rephrase it. Maybe it comes with the territory of being the big dog, of being at this level. It comes with that territory that you will be criticized heavily on whatever you're doing. Maybe they're not inviting it per se.
No, but they're like anyone, where they refuse to comment on stuff because they're like, why are we engaging with people that some of them are aggregators or websites or some crazy people on 4chan don't come after me, 4chan. Some are good, some are bad. But at the same time is they don't comment unless it's, for example, the Chris Evans thing when they beat him. Kevin Feige said, no, it's not. So they'll every once in a while, they'll come out when it's, I think, way too big, the storm, like even WandaVision. Eventually, they'll come up and be like, guys, you're going too far. But typically, they just let people just enjoy and have their own imagination and let them go. Do you think that's the case, Rob? Or do you think John's theory is correct where they're just, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread?
I think that these shows and movies are almost held to an impossible standard. I think it's one of the results when you have so many home runs. You're expected to go up to bat and hit a home run every time you go up. And even the best sluggers in baseball history will hit a double or a single just to, they can't always be smashing it. We can't always be Sammy Sosa's or Mark McGuire's or, Joe Carter hitting that home run. I mean, never achieved excellence on the same level after that. I think that's just one of the problems. Now, it's not to say that the products that Marvel puts out are not high up there, but I think we as fans do ourselves a disservice by, to kind of paraphrase Tom Cruise in Magnolia, we put him up on the pedestal, and that's not fair to. It's not fair to us as fans, but it's also not fair to the creators, the writers, the directors, the actors who put a lot of time, energy, and passion into these projects, and we kind of. I guess we mentally shit on it, to be very honest with you, because we have an expectation that it's never going to attain. And I think that's kind of crappy.
Yeah, so let me go to Andre if get your thoughts. So just for reference for the non-baseball people, as Rob was mentioning, if you hit 400, and that's basically 4 out of every 10
bats.
At bats, you're in the Hall of Fame. Like, it's just 400 is all you need. But no one's ever gotten 400. The person who's gotten the closest, Ty Cobb, who already is kind of a bad human being, is 366. So, like, that is baseball. Like, a Hall of Fame, it's like, again, no one is perfect in any professional sport, whether it's shot on net or baskets or free throws. Even the best free throw person is, 98%. Like, no one is 100 in anything. So, but yes, Andre, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's impossible for them, or were we putting too high, or what do you think on?
I don't know. Like, I'm probably Marvel's harshest critic, especially here in the panel. And I guess for my criticism comes from not that their stuff is bad per se. It's just that it could be better. And I don't know if that's the same thing. Like, some people just shit on stuff to shit on it. No, I'll never shit on a Marvel project without saying exactly where I think that they have gone wrong, or where I think the comic books have done it better. And, where I think that the screen could have adapted that. I think what John said is kind of correct, because Marvel's the only, thing now. There's a lot of eyes are on it. And I will say, especially on something like WandaVision, because so many people were just gushing over it, I really felt, in a way perplexed, or maybe I felt the need to be like, yeah, I don't know what you're gushing about, because they're missing this, and this, so I think there's a little bit of that duality in that we want something new and we want something to take our mind off of where things are, but that thing may not meet the expectations that we are subconsciously putting on it. To speak specifically about this show, and stuff, I didn't watch or read a lot of the criticisms on it. I just, in a way, I totally disagree with it, but I think that's fantastic, because I felt the exact same way about WandaVision. So if I could think WandaVision is not good and not executed well, I would be a hypocrite for not letting somebody else think that Falcon and Winter Soldier didn't hit the tones, for me. Like I said, I would love to have a proper calm dialogue with somebody about it, because I said it last week, this show is the best thing Marvel has produced, period, end stop. It's a product and culmination of all the stuff they've worked for, but it's for reading what people said about this, I'm just like, you guys need to either know what you're talking about, reference, know the source material, know the history behind it, and look at our political climate in the world today. And if you can't recognize what this show is doing and who is doing the show, I have to say that they missed the message. And sometimes the message and the messenger are two very important things. It's one thing to have, say, a Spike Lee movie or a Tyler Perry movie or a black movie, make these discussions. But it's another thing when the biggest company in the world is making that statement for all the world to see. That's a different animal. And I don't think people actually recognize not only the chance, but also the importance that Disney took with telling this story. Like, this could have backfired on them huge, but look at how they framed it. They showed both sides of the dialogue and the debate. You had the Isaiah Bradley, what was awful that happened to him, and he said his piece. He's like, look what they did, I'll never do it for them again. I fought for my country and this is how they treated me. And then you have Sam saying somebody else can't justify, so make me, make the decision for me, even though as justified they are, I'm not in their shoes. And then he says, it's my country, I'm gonna fight for it. And then he sums it up with, who are you to not do what I can do when you can move mountains, you can feed the world? Like, it had everything. So, like, I would love to have a calm dialogue. I'm not interested in just throwing shit at the wall. Oh, I didn't like it because I didn't like it, or you're an idiot because you like Black Captain America or whatever. No, but I think just on the merits of what they did, it's fantastic. And I don't know, like, not everything has to be this heavy, but I think everything could be this well written, and that's always been my criticism of the Marvel stuff.
Okay. We'll get back to you, Andre, as that was a nice thought. Rob, we'll get to you now. Your thoughts on the episode. What did you think? Go.
Thanks.
Go.
I'm really conflicted on how I feel about this episode. I'm gonna, I don't even know I don't even know how best to formulate it. I guess I felt like this episode didn't seem to have the same tone as previous episodes, as if it was written by somebody else. Like, there was something, it felt tonally off. And I was like, okay. I mean, I really enjoyed the spectacle, Sam in his suit, the action scenes. I'm always a guy, though, I prefer action scenes in daylight because I feel like I can actually understand what the hell's going on a bit more. Maybe it's because I'm older, I don't know. So I really like seeing the action scenes. I love the him chasing down the helicopter and whatnot. Here's where I guess, and listen, I enjoyed the episode, but I'm conflicted because in the previous episode, Andre was mentioning the Isaiah Bradley, Isaiah Bradley plot line and threads, and those were, they're not difficult conversations to have, but they were poignant and they were heartfelt, and a lot of that was sold based on the chemistry between Mackie and then delivered by
Mantis.
Yeah, thank you. Who again, he put another stellar performance in Carl Lumbly in this episode. The the scene where Sam Wilson lands after he's rescued all the senators and he gives that speech, it felt, well, I understand the need for it. It felt tonally out of place to what had come before in addressing the issue of a Black Captain America or a Black super soldier post Steve Rogers. It felt shoehorned in. It felt like there was a soapbox, and and it's hard for me because I think it's important. I think that, there was a time, and we've mentioned this a lot of times in the past. I know Andre really has, and a lot of other people have, who way before us, who have said, they got their morality from comic books. Especially growing up in the 80s and 70s and 80s, you would understand morals and scruples through comic books. And so I'm thinking, as I'm watching this, I'm like, they are translating something that you would have read in a comic book in the 70s and 80s onto the screen. And I just felt, though, that it seemed the delivery and the idea felt weird juxtaposed to what happens then 5 minutes later when Wilson is talking to Isaiah. Like, it just felt like two different things. And so I didn't understand. Like, it seemed kind of imbalanced to me, I guess, is the bottom line. But I agree that it needed to be. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how you convey that message. It just felt very soapboxy, which is not what they had done in previous episodes in dealing, especially if you go back to episode 1 or episode 2 when he can't even get a loan at the bank. Like, they were explaining the troubles of African Americans in the U.S. without like, they were showing it, and in this one they were telling it, and it felt weird for me. Because it's just not the same tone that we had in the previous episodes. I wasn't a big fan of the Sharon Carter being revealed as a power broker. I kind of felt that
maybe not. We'll see.
It's a double blind.
Potentially, but I was like,
scroll?
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, it could have been. I mean, I've read somewhere that they're setting
up
up the Iron Wars television show that's coming in a few years or whatever. So
Secret Invasion's coming up sooner than that. They've already, as you've already talked before, they've lined up 3 actors for Secret Invasion. Right. So
who knows? I don't know. I just felt like I was like, it felt not that I was expecting it to be Mephisto. Who I think will be
still could be Mephisto. Still could be Mephisto.
But I was just like, it just seems so like, when George St. Pierre, I was like, you're that power broker, and I was like, the Flag Smashers finality to it again. It seemed rushed. It seemed like it just got shoehorned in there.
It did feel like they made some compromises because of maybe COVID and stuff like that. I don't know how.
Yeah, potentially.
If they resumed filming for this, there was definitely less people on set. There was less cameras. Like, the action, definitely was hella shaky. Cam in this version, because maybe they didn't have as many people covering it. Definitely the action was way cleaner.
Yeah. Hey, Zemo still won. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
Zemo still won.
Yeah,
the Butler was back, baby.
He didn't do anything.
I liked there was a scene where, and we've talked about this before, where they use shots from this show were copied from the previous Captain America movies, and there's shots of Sam, trying to pull open that very, holding on, very similar to Chris Evans in, I think it was Winter Soldier, where he's holding the helicopter and the helipad, right? So listen, at the end of the day, I enjoyed the episode. I felt it just seemed tonally off to me. I personally, I was like, this is really weird about the whole, now I want to call him Wyatt Russell, but I guess now John Walker is cool with Bucky. Like, here's what I would have liked to have just seen. When he puts his hand on Bucky's shoulder, I would have liked to have seen Bucky look at him and say, don't do that. Just to show there's a little bit of tension still, that, hey, listen, Walker, you may have helped us, but you're still not accepted for what you did. Admittedly, though, when I saw Julia Louis-Dreyfus
Bucky's murdered a million other people.
Yeah, he doesn't really have much footing to stand on.
Well, no, I guess I look at it a little bit differently. But when I saw Julia Louis-Dreyfus return and he comes out and he's in the U.S. agent outfit, I love that. I love the way it looked on him. It actually looked a lot better than the blue.
Yep.
So I was really happy to see that. I have a little bit of gripes with the costume for Sam. It's the headpiece. I think for me, it's the headpiece. You know, he had that headpiece in the original comics, and they didn't have that in the Avengers movies and everything else. And I was surprised that they actually went and put that headpiece on him. But you know, whatever. To quote Stuart, it's fine. Overall, I would give this episode.
It's still a TV budget. Remember, we're still
No,
on.
no. Overall, no, it's not. It's movie budget, dude.
No. This is the difference.
No. If that costume shows up in a movie, it is 100%. I guarantee you, it's 100%.
Well, they always do. They do changes
better.
To each movie.
Yeah, it's gonna have CG doctoring. Like all the superhero costumes get doctored in CG After Effects. It's gonna probably fit a lot better because they probably had to rig all the stunt harnesses and all that kind of stuff. So I know what you're talking about. In some shots, it looks like really like oversized. It looks like too big for him. But I think that's all because this is a TV show. This is not a movie. You got to remember.
I disagree with you because compared to the DC shows, this costume kicks butt. If you look at any of the Superman,
it still is. I think it's going to look even better. That's
like a GoBot, and then you're like, oh, I got this costume from Value Village. No disrespect.
I got to flame on GoBots all the time.
and then I wanted a real costume, and it's like, oh, I found this one at a random store. And this one, you know, most of the costumes were a tier above anything else. Even if you can't even say WandaVision, like the Vision looked incredible in all of the series. Like that wasn't a TV costume. That was full out.
No. I think it would definitely be leveled up if you put it in a movie.
Overall, I would give this episode like an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed it. If I'm being critical, I enjoyed it. For me, it felt tonally different than what has come before. And so there's a sense of not, I guess I don't want to say disappointment because it's too harsh of a word, a descriptive to it, but it just didn't feel, it felt off to me. But I'm going to watch it again. Like it's not going to stop me from not watching it. It just,
Rob, let me jump in and explain my interpretation of that.
Yeah. It's your turn. It's your turn, Andre. Anyways, but yeah, go ahead.
But let me just address the Rob's tonal thing. I think you're absolutely right, Rob. It is a tonal shift, and it is a soapbox moment. But the reason it's different is because it has to be a soapbox moment. Look at the situation. He is in the costume. He has the senator's attention, and there's media and people with cameras. He now has the chance to make the statement that he, as Sam Wilson, has always made, but now he has got the symbol and the voice of Captain America behind him. If he failed to take that moment to say those things to that senator, it is a different moment if he waits to get a Senate hearing and it's made publicly, because then CNN or whoever doesn't cover it. This way, it's broadcast to the world. It is an honest dialogue coming from a man in that position who now is wearing the stars and stripes. That's what he said. So he had to stand on this. How, in your opinion, would he have showed that to other people? So it is 100% that moment. And it fits the tone because this whole thing is the show starts with him saying this symbol is greater than the man behind the symbol is greater than the symbol. And he didn't feel up to being that man. And then he does the right thing. He puts the costume on. His voice and his message has never changed. But now the messenger has changed. He now can project and be listened to, not because he's a black man, but because he's Captain America, who is also a black man and has that perspective. So it is 100% a soapbox moment, Rob. But it's not. Okay, it's not a tonal shift.
Rob. let me just say this though, and I hear you. Here's where Anthony Mackie's delivery in every moment that he's had, when he had with Carly in episode 4, when he was talking after that funeral, and the conversations he's had with Isaiah on one-on-one, very powerful. Like his delivery in those moments, you are in that room with him as he's making those points, having those conversations, and you're blown away by that. In this larger speech that he's giving, he is on a stage projecting. And so I would question this, Andre. I would just say he can still have that speech. He can still do it. But what would you think in tone if he had that conversation in a room, and he was protecting that one senator, and he's giving that speech, and somebody just with their cell phone is filming it in the corner and is being broadcast on Twitter, which then goes out to the world. And he's having that one-on-one speech and dialogue. For me, I think that same speech can be delivered. It's been Mackie's strength to have that one-on-one dialogue as opposed to a broadcasting. And I think that for me,
Rob, like you're saying the same thing. Sam Wilson has a conversation one-on-one. Captain America has a conversation to the nation. Captain America inspires everybody. He wasn't puffing his chest and saying, Senator, you guys have the right. He still had the conversation. It just happened to be that there was 5 people there and there was more media there. It wasn't, I get from what you're saying that this speech didn't feel genuine. To me, this was genuine. This was still Sam Wilson. He talked through his experience. He says, look, I've fought aliens. I've fought things. I've saved the world. But he's like, you have more power than me. Mm-hmm. And that's powerful because he is a man.
So let me just jump
in. Maybe it's lack of camera angles.
Yeah,
I don't. It feels like the crew was definitely way less.
John, let's jump in quickly for that. From Andre's point, I think at the end of the day, Rob, you talked about the subtleness of that, and I think from a person of a minority, like that goes so far. And to this speech, it had to be done in that kind of with the media and everything attention, because again, if you mirror that to society right now, even with Asians right now, there's I think that the phrase is called like a model minority syndrome, where Asians never speak up. Like we just let our actions and like we just take everything, but we want to speak up because that's not good for us. It doesn't look good for Asians to speak out about racism or this or that. And recently you've seen they've said, okay, well, we can't do that. We have to speak out against the racism, the violence. We have to do something about that. And the same thing happened with George Floyd and everything else. It's like you can only be quiet and show our actions for so long for minorities to say, okay, well, this is not right. And it only took that before change happened, before protest, before everything else. So it's mirroring what the society is right now. What requires eventually we have to speak out. And if it's on social media, if it's a protest or it's in front of TV, that's what has to be done to highlight the fact that there is an injustice to people across. And Sam wasn't saying that just for people of African American or Asian. He's saying anyone who's displaced, this is what their fears. And again, as a representation of Captain America, as everyone, I'm here to help everyone. This is the dialogue I want to have, and pushing them kind of in a place where if they said, no, we don't want to do it with all the TV cameras, they look really bad. So he looked at the situation, had an earnest conversation, and looked like this is my opportunity to do something while these guys are here. Because if it was a Senate hearing, he saw already what works if you just be the model minority. Like, oh, here's a shield you asked for quietly, and then they just did something else with it. He recognizes that something else different has to happen because he did it the right way, the right reasons the last time, and they gave his shield away and they said, thanks for help, see you later. So you understand why he had to go to this step, because before, to your point, Rob, he did everything he was supposed to. And what did that get him? Nothing. So he has to speak out and do it now and show people that, yes, I am the new voice, and you have to speak up for injustices as well. So it is a thing. Yeah, it totally off, but in the real world, that's kind of what you have to do now. And it's echoing across the world. When if you don't like it, protests, you have to speak your voice, or it's not going to happen because there's enough people around the world that's shutting you down, whether it's countries shutting down social media or whatnot, to make sure that you're not heard from.
So that's why I said I was conflicted. And that's why I said to Andre, I'm not disagreeing with either of them. I've just said the speech was necessary. It was important. It was just the episode, but that's why I'm still an 8 out of 10. I quite enjoyed the episode.
Go back and watch his first speech when he gave back the shield.
Yeah.
To me, that's more soapboxy than this.
Yeah, maybe.
This, when he was placating, to me, he was telling his side, but he almost didn't seem like genuine Sam that you got when he's one-on-one, right? And then this one, to me, it felt like a more genuine Sam, but he talked specifically to the 2 senators. So maybe you're right. Maybe because of COVID, it might have been like all of them or whatever, and they had to definitely cut down. But again, like to me, the message is super clear. But like I said, he has to take it because he has that platform now. And like his sister said, he's like, I couldn't do what you do, Sam. You went out into the world to help everybody, and I just stayed here to try and help us, right? So it's still part and parcel in his character. And like I said, I think that if he flew off and then the next scene was a Senate meeting, I think that would have been a tonal shift, and it would have been not of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that it would have been
yeah,
right,
fair enough.
shall we say.
Yeah.
Andre, your thoughts? Because again, to your point quickly, athletes now, actors have that opportunity to speak up and make change, whether it's LeBron James, where people criticize him when he talked about the political process, like, just shut up and dribble. And he's like, well, I'm more than just a basketball player. Like, I'm speaking up against things, even though, it's not good for my brand, because he doesn't want to piss people off. But at the same time, there's things that he and other athletes have done, whether it's take a knee or whatnot, to talk about social injustice and make changes. This is the new normal. That before, when you did it, when you put your arm up, what happened in the Olympics, you were basically blackballed, like you're out. So now it's a change in culture and it's a shift. So it is to your point, like, he had that opportunity and he took a shot. But yeah, Andre, yes, go ahead and finish your thoughts on the episode. And
well, hard to say more than what everybody else has said. Yeah. This has been a fantastic series, start to finish, a great episode. I don't think it's my favorite episode, but it had a hell of a strong moments. John named a lot of them. So I'm going to try and talk about some things a little bit differently. So there was a lot of complaints or criticism, not complaints, about the costume. If you know me or you've listened to these videos and stuff throughout the years or seen me in the store, I'm always talking about the source material. This costume is right out of the comic. Color for color, design for design. I jumped when I saw it. There's been people putting renditions online and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm okay with them changing it, because when they put Captain America's Winter Soldier costume on screen, I'm like, oh, that is actually maybe a little bit better than Steve Rogers' comic costume at some points. But they took the comic and they put it right on, and I think this is probably the first time that they've done that. And I think for me, I've just wanted to see that, like every comic book movie.
Yeah, I thought they were going to shade it down, like darken it or something.
Yeah, but this, it looked fantastic. The creativity of him flying in and using the shield and using his wings and stuff like that. Like,
you saw that charging star,
the charging star, yeah, like the wings coming in and the helicopter bouncing off. I'm like, I don't care that it's Wakanda tech and it wasn't that in the comic. Fantastic, just amazing. As you can see, I have the Winter Soldier Falcon in the back. I can't wait for Hot Toys to announce this figure. And before this, I will say, I wasn't a huge Falcon fan. I didn't dislike Falcon or whatever. I liked him in the comic books when he was with Captain America, but never per se be following him separately until the comic series came out where he took on the mantle, and it was drawn by Stuart Immonen. What a fantastic iteration of the costume and stuff. So that was amazing to see. This episode, it just delivered, I think, the message, and I'm glad in a way that it's heavy-handed. And I think that's what some people don't like. Rob mentioned this, it's a hard conversation to have. Yeah, they are. So let's have them, right? These are the things that, people have always said, oh, comics shouldn't be political, blah, blah, blah. Comics have always been political. If somebody says that to you, they don't know comics. Somebody says, oh, I just want to have fun and read my comics, whatever. That means the politics in comics have gone over their head because those situations don't affect them.
Like the X-Men.
Yeah, it's just that's what, comics and art and films and music, they're created by people, and people are part of the world, and they see injustices, they feel injustices, they have emotions, and they put that into their art form. you know. So it's like a lot of people talk about, oh, I can relate to this singer and this and that because I really felt that. Comics and superheroes do that too, and I think it's about time that Marvel / Disney have stepped up and put that front and center on the screen. That's why I mentioned earlier, it's like, you know, kudos to them. Like they took a chance, and I think it's the right chance. I think people have, you know, been waiting for them and saying to them, these are the guys, like they're in the lead spot. You know, they have a voice, they have a soapbox, they can influence people, they can change the world for better. They can recognize what they have done in the past, and they can course correct and go forward. And I think this is a step in that direction. The writer of this series, right after the series ended, they announced, hey, we've got a Captain America 4 coming out, and it's going to be this same creative team. I'm like, hell yeah, these guys nailed it. You know, like every like I said, the writing on this on point. You know, for me, I like the serious tone of stuff. I like the message. I read comics not for funny pages, as some people call them, but that's okay if you do, and that's okay if let's say, you know, Deadpool and Guardians of the Galaxy is your jam. Keep having your jam. This is my jam, and I think this is where most of the Marvel stuff I would like to see them doing it. I don't know if I can pick anything that I disliked about this particular episode. I wasn't happy with the Power Broker reveal, but if you know your Captain America, Sharon Carter was on the other side before, right? So they didn't call her the Power Broker or anything, and you know, Cap brought her back and stuff like that. So it's not that it doesn't have a comic book reference, and maybe it'll play out in Secret Invasion or whatever. With, if anybody knows their comic books, you know, Skrulls infiltrate our all aspects and levels of government and population and everything. So there could be an explanation for it. The Isaiah.
Sorry, Andre. People are not happy. I get it, but Marvel can pivot quickly, as just like they did with the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. Oh, Sharon Carter is an agent of Nick Fury. Like, she's a triple agent. She's a Skrull. She is this. She is that. They're just, they have the opportunity to pivot at any point in time. The story isn't finished yet. People are just upset in the moment going, why is she, blah, blah, blah. Does it make sense? Again, there's a lot of runway left for them because this isn't the end of the story. It's just like WandaVision leading into something else in a different road, leaving a tease. So even on the phone when she says, oh, it leads to secrets, it maybe looked nefarious, but we don't know who she was on the phone with or what cover it was and whatnot. So I think it leads up to a lot of interpretation, and let's just see where it goes, because that's pretty much all of these teases at the end of either the Marvel one-shots or all the end of it. It leads typically to other things. So yes, Andre, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so the Isaiah Bradley stuff, I thought that was a really cool moment. You know, it just hits you, and it's maybe it's not enough for what he went through, but his story's being told, and like Sam said, now they'll never forget you. They'll never forget what you did. And that was powerful, man. Mm-hmm. Like that, like it was just, and then they just embrace. Like, I don't know. You know, some things you just need to see, and like I said, it was good. It was really good to see this on screen, and I think the message is universal. I don't think you can say, oh, this is just a black thing or whatever. I think the message is universal, and I think if you understood that and took that away, then the show means something to you. And I'm not trying to belittle or insult anybody that didn't get it, but I don't know if the people that rated this show poorly, I don't know if they got it. And if they didn't, you know, yeah, for sure, you know, that's maybe why they rated it poorly. But like I said, I have no idea how this particular episode rated so much lower than other episodes, when meanwhile, most of the people I know,
I think you nailed on the head before, Andre, where you didn't understand WandaVision, it got higher rating. It's just the nature of it. People just like what they like, and we're just gonna end it like that. There's no point to figure out a rhyme or reason. because I don't understand how Big Bang Theory went on for as long as it did and had the ratings it did. But like people just watched it. Like, so again, like this is the thing where I'm like, oh, okay. Or why people watch Blue Bloods? Like, is it that good? I don't know. People just watch
Tom
it.
Selleck.
So, you know, like we just give up on what it works. At the end of the day, it was a product that we enjoyed. I think the biggest criticism I think we can all agree with was the Zemo part at the end. I was hoping that there was like
he was going to escape
a Ross or like even an envelope of like someone walking towards and it said Thunderbolts on it. Like I just wanted something to like tease that he's going to come back, because at the point it's like you just sit there like maybe it's a screen and then like a folder pans down and it says, and it's a folder, or even a screen that said Thunderbolts Initiative or something. Something
you just
else.
Want more. You just want a Zemo show. Steve.
I just want Zemo.
Stop.
More Zemo. Even if like
stop.
No.
But Stu, in all honesty, right? Can you have a Thunderbolts show without the premise of the Thunderbolts? Like the Thunderbolts was literally lightning in a bottle, and it worked because all the heroes were gone.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have done Thunderbolts in the 5 years of the blip. You know what I mean? That would have been a better time. But like, I'm not saying I wouldn't buy it, but like the heroes are still around. Not saying you couldn't change it or whatever, but I think it would be almost too early to drop that Thunderbolts.
I think
with all the other stuff they're working on.
Well, I think to be fair, like it shows that the Marvel Universe, they're not organized. There wasn't a civil war in terms of a Hero Registration Act. So they're not organized right now in terms of, well, every superhero, for those who haven't read comics, country has an organized superhero team. So there's still a gap in like they could fit in and be like, well, we're going to do America's team and this is the Thunderbolts, until they're like discover, and then all of a sudden they rip it out and say, well, we can't do it that way. And maybe it's Zemo is the bad idea to have him lead the team. But there doesn't seem to be
Citizen V.
There's no organization yet in terms of like, and they haven't even said they haven't even organized the Avengers yet. Like who's part of the Avengers right now? Like who's there's no Tony Stark to pay for it. There's no Captain America's not part of it yet. Like Sam's there, but Vision is missing. So who, Scarlet Witch, is she part of the Avengers? And like everyone's kind of off doing their own thing. So who is bringing them back? What's happening? Captain Marvel's half the time.
Where'd the Vision go?
Yeah, Captain Marvel's half the time not even in this galaxy. It's like you have to call her. It takes her time to show up. So Nick Fury's not around. He's in space. So technically, even if you called the Avengers, who's showing up? Who has a badge that says Avengers on it? So it does lead to an opportunity where they could, Contessa could. That's why she said we need a U.S. agent. Like there is no organization right now in terms of anything. Spider-Man's around, but Spider-Man's revealed. Doctor Strange, is he part of Avengers?
Where do you think John Walker is going, Stu? Where do you think John Walker is going? They didn't kill him in this series, so where do you think he's going to? Where do you think they're going to use?
It was really interesting.
U.S. agent.
I think he is, like, again, the stealth. Like, we can't have you as the thing, but we clearly know you'll get the job done because you murdered a person cold.
So you think he's going to show up in like the movies, or I guess if there's Captain America?
I think all these guys now have that flexibility in their contracts to let them go up or down. Like we'll pay you X amount if you're a movie. We'll pay you X amount or a TV show. We'll negotiate in scale. I think if he was going to be in the movie, he could be a good supporting character. Like, again, it could work out either way, but I think he could be part of that initial strike force team that is trying to stop something, and they just get their butt kicked, and all of a sudden the Avengers show up and be like, these guys are here to save us.
You do bring up an interesting point, Stu, in that when we started off this entire journey 12 years ago or whatever it was, Iron Man ended with Nick Fury saying, I want to talk about the Avengers Initiative. And then you jumped into the next movie, was the Hulk. Okay. And then it was Thor.
I like that.
But you started to see that they had a plan that we were moving towards. And now I feel for the first time in years, we are fractured. We are spun out. We have no idea in which direction. Like we used to
They have a lot of pieces on the board now.
On to like, we are into phase 2. Phase 1 is over. Here's the layout for phase 2. Yeah. Here's where our target is going. Yeah. We know, the Avengers are going to be coming back. Yeah. We're like, the chess pieces are thrown everywhere, and we have no idea really what the end game is, though.
Isn't it ironic? Because one of us on the panel really didn't like Endgame. And it's kind of funny.
Are you raising your hand,
really
Andre?
kind
Are
of
you
funny
raising
that
your
they
hand?
have no plan after Endgame, and maybe if Endgame was good, it could have done something. I don't know.
I think at the end of the day,
You can check the game tape.
they made some several quotes or whatnot. Like, it was such a big event, they needed some time to let things kind of breathe. It's like, it's too early for an Avengers movie. Let's kind of format, see who's available in the roster, whether it's Shang-Chi, the next Black Widow movie's coming, but she's off the roster. There's a Shang-Chi movies, there's Eternals. They're kind of setting up a wider kind of net. You know, there's a Kang, there's Ant-Man, there's stuff coming down. It's just a matter of, you know, without an Avengers, without Captain America and Tony Stark to like reform, is it then, now that I think about it, when Vision flies out, is it now the Avengers initiative where he's like, I got to make the new Avengers? Everyone's dead. Like, is that what his thing is? Now you think about it. Because in the comics, as soon as the Avengers die, Vision automatically goes, I got to make new Avengers. The initiative comes into fact. So maybe when he flew off, he's like, he remembered everyone died. He's like, crap, I got to get new Avengers ASAP. Because regardless of what his feelings for Wanda and the imperative, he's like, well, there's another Vision here. I got to go out and build a new team. So is it Vision as the pickup is like, I got to pick up the Avengers and get new people together?
No,
we're going to find out.
He's like, I got to meet with Will Smith and do iRobot 2.
As long as he picks up Zemo's butler and says, "Hey, I'm going to now need you to be like Jarvis, the butler," and because you're getting some shit done, blowing people up. So
I love the fact he could barely move onto that plane, yet he could climb under a truck to blow it up.
An armored truck.
He like rolls under.
You could see how difficult it was moving in a plane. Like, he looked like seriously geriatric. It's like, I can barely move in this plane. We're talking about the galley. I'm like, you bent your knees down, went under a car, stealthily, old man. I'm like, dude, props to you. Like, I don't understand how you did that. But yeah.
The absence of a plan, though, it's for me, it just feels very weird because you're right. Black Widow is, I don't even know what its relevance is anymore, to be very honest with you. We've discussed that.
Intro to Contessa and the Black Widow.
Right. So, and then you got Shang-Chi in September. You have Spider-Man. I think that's supposed to be this December. You have the Eternals. As you said, we know that they're filming Thor 4 right now. Love and Rockets or whatever it's called. Love
and Thunder.
I'm watching that. I'm watching that Thor movie. I haven't watched Dark World, but I'll watch Thor, Love and Hip Hop.
You've got all these things, but it just kind of feels like, but to what end? And it just feels very weird to me. I guess I'm just very accustomed to there being
the bad thing. Maybe you don't need an end. Like, maybe them intertwining everything was a disservice because now we can't just watch individual things without expecting they're gonna join, right?
Well, then they've gone the DC route then.
Yeah.
We talked before. That money thing is the reason why you got to catch them all. Like, they're all connected. You got to watch them all because the DC, I can tell you right now, those DC movies, like, everyone's going to maybe watch that Rock movie and then everyone's going to just bypass everything else. They're like, yeah, I don't want to watch this. I'm not going to watch that. It doesn't matter. They're Elseworlds. They're not connected. But let me speak quickly the rumors of Thor, because as we're jumping off quickly, the idea is that if this rumor is true that he is Zeus and it opens up a world where I get Hercules, I'm all on board. I just want Henry Cavill as Hercules going through the world with Amadeus Choi solving problems. Like, that's what I want. I want Henry Cavill as Hercules. Let's set this up. Rob, start the rumors.
That's fine.
The tweets.
As long as John Ho stars as Newt. We're talking about Hercules cartoon from the 70s, right?
I'm talking about
Strength of 10 Men.
Put your magic ring on, and
I'm talking about the Hercules that I love from the comic books, Marvel comic books. Let's set it up where we get Hercules, and then he's like, that's what we want here, and part of the new storyline. Because if that's the case, then I'm all on board. Like, to your point, we don't know in Marvel's offices where they have probably a big map of where they're connecting things around. Like, I'm fine if they take another 3 years before they do another Avengers movie. It does, like, just let them kind of figure things out, add new characters, let us build up new people in the Avengers, and then bring them all together again for, Kang the Conqueror. So let's just try it out and see what happens. Because again, let's be fair, some of those Avengers are very OP anyways, with Doctor Strange or Captain Marvel. So the two of them showed up. it's over anyways. Like, what are you gonna do against Doctor Strange?
Oh, that's right, Doctor Strange. I forgot about that one too.
Yeah,
I forgot about that guy.
Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness. So
Right.
he shows up, and all of a sudden it's over. So he has to be indisposed of as well. Yeah.
Well, will he be as powerful if he doesn't have the Eye of Agamotto anymore?
I don't think his powers were based on the Eye of Agamotto.
I know it wasn't, but
Yeah.
the time gem when he beat Dormammu, when he rebuilt the city, that was all time gem at the end, right?
Yeah.
But he'll just be able to go to Hot Toys and get a replica. It'll be okay.
Yeah,
He'll be fine.
No, the Marvel Legends is releasing a Eye of Agamotto replica, so he can.
Yeah, so he'll be okay. He'll just
No, like, to your point, Andre, it just all of them, it depowers him enough that he could take other, like that's not the MacGuffin. It's like, why don't you just go back in time and fix everything? So now that's gone. So, or again, they haven't claimed, because the gems kind of exist on their own thing. They might come back in some form or another. Who knows?
It's almost too bad that they said that was the gem, because that's his thing, man.
He could
right?
probably still come up with another way to come up. Like again,
fake it out.
they'll find another way to do an eye. Maybe he'll figure out a way and to make another Eye of Agamotto.
He'll take somebody's eye out and put it in.
Yeah. Electric Boogaloo.
That's right.
Yeah. So there we go. So nonetheless, we all like the show. We're excited to see where things happen. As Andre mentioned, Malcolm Spellman, who is going to potentially write Captain America 4. So like we're good. I'm excited. There's rumors of Bucky getting his own show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you happy with Bucky's resolution of the
100%? 100%. He's good.
Yeah,
Like,
because we talk a lot about Anthony Mackie, rightly so, but Sebastian Stan, like, he did an outstanding
Sebastian
job.
Stan
Well,
is
that's
incredible in the show. He did everything he wanted to. They, like, the rumors came out, or not rumors, the reports came out there. They're submitting his stuff to Emmys, which they should, for miniseries. Same with everyone else. It's great. But just the juxtaposition of him being all like sad, I think at the end, when the best part, I laughed when he was sitting on that bench with his arm up and the 3 kids are just hanging off him. I'm like, this is the Bucky I want. The fun guy who's just like doing his own thing, and like you could see they genuinely like each other and the chemistry between Mackie.
I think it's like, 2 great performances, but unfortunately not as many people talked about Sebastian Stan because of Mackie, but they both did stellar jobs, and they were 2 opposite characters, and you couldn't have pulled it off if the person playing Sebastian or playing Bucky wasn't him. It wouldn't have worked, because like just that whole they're just diametrically different, but it just worked. Are you gonna just keep staring? Like they pulled it off, and his range of emotions completely opposite than Sam's, but you bought it and you felt it. Like even that little note at the end, here's my book, I'm finished, thank you for helping me. I'm like, oh wow, that's huge, right? So again, it's almost too bad. I wish he might have went into the restaurant at the end to talk to the girl again, but he left, and that was it. So you're just you feel for the guy, right? So
personally, for me though, I agree. Sebastian Stan nailed it. But there's a part of me that wants the Winter Soldier to still continue, like that persona of his psyche. Like it's still in there. And as silly as it sounds, you see those billboards where they triple down and they change the picture. I would love for that arm to all of a sudden to triple down into like to be silver with the star again, and that the Winter Soldier is his Batman to his Bruce Wayne. Like he snaps, Bill Bixby, Incredible Hulk, eyes start going and he changed into the Hulk. Like I want to see that Winter Soldier, because I still say his fight scenes as the Winter Soldier are far above what they are as Bucky Barnes, even with this arm. And I still watch those fight scenes in this last episode. I'm like, he just doesn't have the speed and the fluidity that he did as the Winter Soldier. There's just
because he's not a psychopath.
No, but what I'm saying though is that
murder people.
So to point, Andre's point,
I do.
There was a Reddit post that talked about like movie details and whatnot, and they mentioned that if you look at all the scenes where Sam Wilson or where Bucky fights as his own, he is constantly thinking about his hands and how he fights. So he, like you mentioned, he's a right hand dominant. So like he's like fighting whatever, right? But if you watch every scene when he's the Winter Soldier, it's the opposite hand, because when he's brainwashed, he doesn't think about it. He just uses the metal hand as a default. So it just shows the juxtaposition of like, if you rewatch every scene, every time Winter Soldier does something awesome, he uses the metal hand. He never uses his human hand. And then you flip it around when you see Bucky, he's constantly like trying to think what he should do. And he's his own worst enemy in terms of like thinking about how he should fight when he's a pure killing machine.
Yeah,
he's
I
programmed
think he'll
like
still
Modok to just kill. So, so, like, again, like it is the little nuance subtlety that you want to see in a show. And you're like, you appreciate the fact that even with the knife fight, like Bucky uses his metal arm every single time he does a knife fight, not uses his hand, his regular hand. So it is cool. Like, I get it, Rob, like you want him, but he's kind of evil when he does that. So, you want him to kind of be good. And at this point,
but you have the skills. He's got the skills buried in there. It doesn't mean every episode, but you want it to build up to that crescendo where all of a sudden it unlocks and he becomes like how Banner turns into the Hulk. You want that.
I think that would, unfortunately, I hear what you're saying. Maybe you want just better fight choreography for him, but I think the whole point, what they showed in Wakanda and stuff like that, he's cured. Like, remember, she says you won't hurt anybody. You're better. And I think that was part of his journey, right? So he was a different person, like, period. And I think that's, in a way, while he did those things, he wasn't responsible for those things. Like, I guess if you
we're talking about psychology though,
yeah,
right?
but if you're going to charge him for the crimes, there's no mens res, right? He didn't know what he was doing. He was not acting on Rob, that. Like, he was the vessel, he was the weapon, but he wasn't the person behind pulling the trigger.
But I think we also have to differentiate between the comic version of Bucky Barnes and the Marvel MCU version, because the Marvel MCU version was in the military for 3 years. He was a regular dude, 3 years, arm came off, over. Like, he didn't learn martial arts. He didn't know this. Like, even when you watch him fight regularly, he's just a regular guy fighting. It's not technically solid. In the comic books, he's trained with, Steve Rogers. He's trained with, Taskmaster. Like, he got other forms of martial art. Like, he will get there now that he's not the Winter Soldier. He can train again and work with other things, and he can develop those skills. But he was only de-thawed every single time as Winter Soldier, and then put back in. So he never got additional training to be a badass.
Those skills are still there, though. That's all I'm saying.
Stu, they put those skills. Remember when they would remember those hard scenes where he's in the chair and stuff like that?
The Matrix chair?
They Matrix them.
But I don't know. But we don't know how much.
How many arms do you think they had to build to perfect to get to that one? Right? There was the Winter Soldier program, so.
And no discretion for human beings. Like, he punches through a wall, pulls a person through. That's not martial arts training. That's just, he has a metal arm and can break a wall. Like, the fight training and stuff like that is cool, but
it's also something hard to top. That fight scene in Winter Soldier is probably one of the greatest fight scenes ever put to film. Like, I think it's Russo brothers, right? Like, they put together one hell of a scene. So it's going to be very hard to even top that. But I think if he does pop into a movie again, you will see that level of action with him,
because at the time and budget to do it, they have we're gonna shoot for 7 days to get this fight.
He practiced.
You don't get that.
He practiced those knife skills and stuff like that. Yeah.
So that, nonetheless, Sebastian Stan was great. Again, the surprise Julia Louis-Dreyfus was great. Whatever, she's maybe a little too humorous at times. Frankly, that as we do a review of Mortal Kombat, sometimes that's required. Sometimes if everyone's stiff as a board, it's rough.
Everybody brought their A game. Wyatt Russell brought his A game, and I said this a couple episodes ago. Stop with
the woman who played Anthony Mackie's sister. Exceptionally,
she's amazing
as well.
Yeah. So overall, it was great.
I don't think there was a bad actor. There was nobody on the screen ever that made me cringe. Like, I bought into everybody's role and stuff. And I think the people that maybe weren't as good, they didn't say much. Like George St. Pierre didn't say much.
That's what I'm saying. GSP, you're hiring him for his fight skills.
Yeah. Quick question. And that was fine.
Is he dead then? Or is he just...
No, definitely not.
Do you think
he only got shot once?
He falls off camera.
Yeah.
Well, listen, all I know is that next week I'm going to miss not having a Captain America Winter Soldier.
You can start at the beginning again, Rob, for the third time.
I wanted to shout out to JSP because that fight scene with him and the Falcon was awesome. Just because the fairness of the fight, Sam Wilson, they were toe to toe. Like, Batroc, it pumped him up as a trained fighter, because when you saw him in Winter Soldier, like, Batroc, he has this many confirmed kills, he's this and that. And when Captain America goes through, he's like, and Batroc's like, I thought you were more than S.H.I.E.L.D. And Chris Evans is like, yeah, all right, put the helmet off, and they fight. But Chris Evans demolishes him because he's a super soldier. Like, within 30 seconds, block, 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 punch through a door. So to see two humans very equal. And same with Sam fighting before, when he was fighting the other guy in Winter Soldier, Crossbones. Like it was like regular two humans of peak fighting efficiency. It was really cool to see. Yes, he's still using a shield, but at the same time, as Batroc is not to be underestimated. He's still a guy that can fight and still hold his own. So I thought that they also paid off very well because it showed Sam is still not perfect. He's still a human being, so he's not going to demolish. Because if you had the super shield, he just sort of beat him with the shield and he would have carried on.
beat him in the head.
Yeah, one punch and he's like, okay, let's keep on going. So I enjoyed JSP, and again, everyone did to your point a good job in this episode. I was genuinely surprised that Zemo, like we talked about several times, the butler, when they were like one world, I'm like, oh my god, there's something's gonna happen, and they're like, we're going to the raft. I thought there was gonna be more, and of course. The butler did it. So there we go. I think the only other gripe I had was to Andre and my points always. This was your last episode. You could have not added 5 more minutes. Like every other episode, you could add 3 extra minutes and no one would have thought about it at all. I don't know why it had to be a short episode. It had to be. You had so much to cover and so much to do, so anyways, it is what it is. I'm happy that the show got its conclusion, that maybe we'll get more. If Sebastian Stan gets the Nomad TV show, I just need to know that he's with someone else. I don't know if Sebastian Stan can be the Bill Bixby traveling from town to town, because now he's a little too happy. Before,
as long as he's got that piano music at the end of each episode, we're good.
If it was like the Nomad story where he was going around, and the Nomad story is like, oh, it's a prequel in sense of like he goes around. His storyline is basically he's going around telling people he's sorry. I would watch that show. But now that it's all done, like, what is he going to do when he travels around the country? Like, doing what? So he has no purpose anymore to travel the country to, like, right the wrongs of what? Was that the book of Captain America he gave away? I was like, wait, you gave away Steve Rogers' book?
Yeah, that's now on eBay. That doctor is like, what?
I don't think it was Steve's book. I think he said he had a book like Steve. No,
I think at the beginning.
No, I think he added those names to Steve's book. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought he said he got a book like Steve.
So it's on. Check your eBay listings, and if you're in the 616 universe, So that
psychiatrist.
It was
Kijiji instead because she doesn't understand eBay.
Yeah. So nonetheless, we are all happy. The show was a big success. Although the ending wasn't great, we'll always have more Zemo dancing, and this is all I ever wanted in the world. The Chris Evans watching Zemo dance is one of my favorite YouTube videos, where he's like just laughing. He's like, well, Zemo, has to, I could see why he did this. And he's like justifying his actions. It's like, he's a guy that's always a survivor. He's trying to figure out how, I'm like sitting there watching Chris Evans trying to explain it. He can't even keep back his laughter watching Zemo dance. All right. So we're going to wrap it up in a moment, but Andre, finish us off with I Have Spoken. What do you have to recommend for the people? Hopefully it's
all right. For today's installment of I Have Spoken, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite loves, and it just came out with a brand spanking new revised edition art book. This is the art of the Mass Effect trilogy, and boy, do I got to tell you, this book is awesome. As you can see on the cover, we have got Aria T'Loak of Omega, voiced by the wonderful Carrie-Anne Moss, and she's just badass, so I'm glad they put her on the cover. But what this book has, for people out there that know, it has all content from all previous Mass Effect art books, plus an expanded section. So you're going to get some more stuff on that they included in multiplayer, a lot more of their beautiful scenery and vistas and stuff. It's a great art book, just in time for the remake of the game coming out, I think, next month. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is coming out. So if you haven't played it, you definitely have to play the game Mass Effect. The game,
unless you're Rob, you're not going to like it.
But this book is just fantastic. I own, as you can see, I've got my Normandy back here. I've got my Omni Blade. I own all the books already, and I'm super stoked to see this. Just a fantastic book. It's brought to you by the people from Dark Horse Comics, who do wonderful art books. So we've got several in the store. I will ask John to get it up on the website for those of you who may want to support us and are not local to us. But if you do like Mass Effect, and you do have a local comic book store near you, maybe give them a call, see if they have the book already or if they can order it for you. But if you're a Mass Effect fan and you don't have the previous, you have to get this one. Even if you have it, there's so much more goodness all in one spot. So Art of Mass Effect trilogy, fantastic. I have spoken. Pick it up.
Awesome. John, Andre, where can they find you on the interwebs and in the real world?
Yeah, so on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and the website, All Heroes World Online, everything gets linked together. So whenever we post something new on the site, you'll see it pop up on our Facebook feed. And whenever we post pictures on the Instagram or Facebook, it will link you to the site if we happen to have products that match the pictures for sale. And then if you are on the YouTube, thank you so much, everybody. We have reached our 1,000 subscriber goal. So we're hoping to get to the next level up. Thank you so much for sharing, subscribing, commenting, and watching our content. We really appreciate it. And if you need to get a hold of us, just message through the website, the social media, whatever is most comfortable for you, and we'll get back to you and set you up with whatever you need. Like Andre's Mass Effect, or if you don't have a copy of the Winter Soldier comic, you should definitely get that as well.
Awesome. Andre, you have anything to add?
Yeah, so we are still doing curbside pickup, and we are located at Highway 7 in Warden, 8601 Warden Avenue. Lots of parking, and we're making the curbside pickup as easy as possible. So you can call ahead, you can message us on social media, like John said, and even if you want recommendations, like we're there Tuesday to Saturday, pretty much 12 to 6 on all days. So even if you just want, hey, I want something new to read. My kids are driving me crazy on quarantine lockdown. What do you have for them? It could be, books, models, games, cards, or if you're tackling, you've got time because you're at home and you're rebagging and boarding your collection. We've got supplies. We've got stuff. Help us. Help
comic boxes,
through the blase. I don't want to say boredom because people might, but we've been locked down here in Ontario for far too long. So you can come by and pick up stuff. Most pickup orders will be ready within about an hour. And if you use our website, you can pay for everything and just select curbside pickup. And then we'll shoot you a message when it's ready to be picked up. But like I said, most things can be picked up within the same day. So thanks for the support. And like John said, thanks for all the subscribes. It's great.
Awesome. Rob, yourself?
Yeah, so you can find me online on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram is _905, all spelled out as one word. John and I are doing the Heroes World Sidekick Show every Monday night live at 8 o'clock on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. A lot of people seem to enjoy the conversations that happen on YouTube. So if you have an opportunity to log in through there, lots of comments and a lot of dialogue back and forth with all of the participants and viewers. So it's a lot of fun. Tomorrow night, we are ranking the top 5 Nicolas Cage movies. Because it's not that we didn't have anything else to do, but we kind of thought, hey, let's talk Nick Cage and Face Off. So we decided to do that. And John's got his laser discs for tomorrow. He's all ready to go. His favorite Nick Cage movie. So there we go. So yeah, so please join us live tomorrow, 8 o'clock. We'll talk Nick Cage movies, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Nick Cage action movies or Nick Cage movies in general?
Nick Cage movies in general, the top 5. We're going to
my top 5 is no way anywhere near John's top 5. So mine are all the drama movies. So I'm not picking any of the action ones because Nicolas Cage is.
I know you've got Raising Arizona on your list. I know
you should definitely send me that list too. So I need some differences.
I got that one. I got The Weatherman. That's a classic one. I got
Matchstick Men.
Vegas. There's a lot of good ones.
I know that Andre's got Ghost Rider 1 and 2 on there, so
Ghost Rider 2 has got to be there. Ghost Rider 2 he goes full Nick Cage, the best. Ghost Rider 2 is 100% better than Ghost Rider 1, infinitely better.
Idris Elba is in Ghost Rider 2, correct?
That is correct. He plays a drunken monk, so these are things you need to know. But it was filmed in Yugoslavia or somewhere weird block country, so it was great. All right. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you, again, support as any way you can, local or liking, subscribing, commenting on any of the channels. Be safe, everyone, and we will see you all shortly next week when we discuss who knows what. Now that there's no Winter Soldier, it's going to be a sad, sad time. We'll figure out.
To paraphrase John Ho, we got nothing.
We got something.
There's stuff going on. There's stuff going on.
John won't be happy. We got stuff going on the 30th, so we're going to see. So, all right, everyone. See you later. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Stu.